Bullhorn Betty rocks.
Coffee steaming, files on the table. We clocking early, hunt what's unstable. Bullhorn Betty on the curb, voice raised. Flip-flop queen with the homemade phrase. Notebook thick, got the screenshots flag. Names in red ink, every rumor, every tag. Late night live stream, screen glow on her face. Truth in her throat, got a lawman's pace. She don't blink when the threats roll through. Come see me, she says, if you think that's cute. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. Insane Asylum, that's our crew nickname. Laugh so loud while we track these names. Whiteboard wild with the webs we spin. Pen to pen, see the pattern sink in. Turbo shaking when the case goes cold. We stir it back up, won't do what we're told. Doorstep question, side eye stare. Where were you that night? We hanging right there. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. This for the faces on the milk cart labels. This for the families praying at tables. This for the names that the news won't say.
Well,
we
good
say
morning, Mr. Seth.
Every single day. Every day. If you're running in the dark, better feel that fear. Betty got a bullhorn right in your ear. Coffee club crazy, but we think so clear. One small town, whole world gonna hear. Hey! Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that the day gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we take red
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Oh, wow. Hello, guys. Y'all should see me behind. That's why I turn the cameras on every now and again. I give you guys a little something. So it is nice to see you. Wow, we got quite the crew. 56 people up at freaking the butt crack of dawn. Now we got too many people. We know we are not the party animals. We're not the party animals of YouTube, okay? I can promise you this show is probably the anti-party animal, okay? We are the anti-party animal because if we were party animals, I don't see how any of us would be up at 6:36 in the morning on a Saturday morning. But here we are, 56 people. Rise and shine, I would say. But where's my beep beep? Rise and shine, mother! I'm just saying. It's Oh, shoot. Sonia is here, so I... Oh, good gracious. Oh, good gracious. It is nice to see you guys. I am Bullhorn Betty. We are covering a new case out of the Bahamas, a Michigan family. Woman overboard. Is it murder? Is it an accident? What are we dealing with here? There are so many things coming out. And of course, Ashley Banfield had a very interesting conversation with Darlene Hamlet. I think that's what her name is. And she's Lynette's mom. Now, we've been hearing a lot about, from Lynette's daughter. And if you guys don't know, so Lynette is over here with her husband, Brian. They decided to sell everything. We heard that they were on the road, doing this for like a decade. From what I'm hearing, this boat that they bought, this yacht, which is a sailboat, and I when I hear yacht, I hear like money, like these people had a lot of money and stuff like that. And not necessarily. He is military, which my aunt and uncle did the same thing. My uncle, military. So this is kind of one of those I think bucket lifestyle things for a lot of military, probably other people besides military, but military. So they sold everything. It sounds like in 2023. When I first got into this case just a couple days ago, this lady had already been missing. I mean, Brian was already in jail. He was already arrested by the time we started covering this case. So we didn't get to it from the ground floor. We got to it from like day 5 or 6. I don't even know what today is. I think today might even be day 7 or 8 or something like that. I think day 7. I think he was arrested. We'll look at the timeline. Anyways, the long story short is they've been on the water. They've been doing this thing, selling around, the world or whatever. I don't know how far around the world they've gotten, but they definitely have sold everything and got this sailboat. They fixed this sailboat up. They put the sailboat on the water, and then they started cruising around, living on the sailboat, living in these beautiful places. And they have been documenting everything they do. So we have their YouTube channel pulled up. We'll see some of the stuff that they've done. But according to this YouTube channel, they've got different channels, they didn't have a huge following, but they did post a lot. They were very active on social media, showing all their family and friends all the things that they are doing. What I did get from the mom, it sounds like this whole abuse thing is legitimate, okay? Whether reported or not. Now, there's a 2015, situation where she went to jail in 2015, much like Gabby Petito would have gone to jail. They were wanting to take her to jail, not Brian Laundrie. So another similar nuance between Gabby Petito and, of course, this case where she actually did go to jail and not Brian, even though she had a black eye. This is, again, training that law enforcement need to be trained on, because a lot of law enforcement don't understand domestic abuse, and domestic abuse specifically against women. Now, we do know that there is domestic abuse against men. It's a smaller number. It doesn't mean that it's any less important or any less dangerous. But the proportions, obviously, women are more proportionately, statistically abused, period, by men. And there are a few things that are denoted by this abuse, and it's, the gradual progression of it, the fact that it gets a little more intense, then you start getting into more harmful fights. That means more physical, more altercation. It goes from pushing, shoving, smacking, punching, hitting, to now choking out, now, really disfiguring your loved one, breaking bones, blackening eyes. It just gets really bad. And we all know that the most important part and the most dangerous part of any domestic violence relationship is the exit. It's when the person, whether it's a man or woman, leaves the relationship. They've made the decision that it is now so toxic, they've got to leave. And it sounds like that may have been her breaking point. She had been getting up to this point for 25 years. Since they've been on the water, she has gone to her mom's pretty bruised up. And so we've got some information. I'm not going to play all of Ashley Banfield's show on here. There's a few things that I did. I made some detailed notes. I want to read some of those things to you. Pretty shocking stuff. And then we'll kind of get into more of the details and the facts of this. But this idea that he's going to try to hide from his abusive behavior is not going to bode well for him. Whether or not it was reported, it's widely known in the family. There's plenty of evidence and records and firsthand account from witnesses. The family is witnesses, and they're living witnesses. That it's going to be hard. Not only living witnesses, but living witnesses that are very believable. And that's important, because whenever you go to court, whenever you have trial, whenever you have a jury, the people on the stand, if you got somebody, like, one of the hardest things is when you have criminals coming up on the stands, felons, or, defense attorneys just eat them up and they destroy them. They shred them apart on the stand because they have a history, they have this or they have that, and they try to, manifest them into this horrible person or somebody willing to lie, or something of that nature. And then you've got these people, the mom, her mom and her daughter, very believable. You can tell that they've got no hatred toward Brian. So if there's no vindictiveness or underlying tone, they come across very believable. And it's very hard. I mean, even when you play the tape through, it's hard for the defense attorney to tear up this daughter. It's hard for this defense attorney to tear up this mom, because they're just talking matter of factly, and you can tell it's deeply bothering her. And one of the biggest statements she made is that she really wasn't surprised that she got this call. That put goosebumps from my head to my toe. That Lynette's mom said she has been preparing for this day for years. She's been preparing for this day for years. It's disgusting. So good morning. This is a different case. We're just kind of looking into this case, seeing what is all going on. We've got several cases that are in the pike right now. And of course, Seth Rogers is in our chat. He's one of our families. He's one of the families of the victims. You guys hear me. I know a lot of you have been around for a while, and a lot of you have met me for the first time through the Nancy Guthrie case. Seth Rogers and you've heard me speak about Sebastian Rogers. Seth Rogers is Sebastian Rogers' father. So if you guys don't know who Seth Rogers is, or you're new to my channel, he is a missing child's father. And his son was with his ex-wife at the time of his disappearance. And then, of course, his ex-wife has cut off all communication with him, has just done, obviously showing a lot of red flags and stuff like that. And we'll be going over his case. Actually, you know what, Seth? We can do another show about your son's case tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. Tomorrow will be a great day to uplift the case, uplift the information. If you've got anything notable that you'd like me to bring forward, you can. I know that I personally have some news coming up in this realm, but I can't talk about it for a little while. And super stoked about something brouhahaing. And you guys will know when it happens. So anyways... one thing I got from Lynette's mom, is that there's two sides to his personality. There's this loving ginger guy, and then there's the drunk. And the drunk is very violent. So sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. But she goes over this situation that just happened about 3 or so months ago. I believe it was 3 or so months ago. It wasn't that long ago. And she had just tried to get a ticket to go stay with her mom for a while. So her mom was talking about this situation where Lynette was talking about her neck being cracked. So they were both drinking and got into a fight. This is what I took this directly from her mother. So I want to read this verbatim. I wrote it verbatim. I stopped it, paused it, wrote it down, stopped it, paused it, wrote it down, stopped it, paused it, wrote it down. We will get to it, but I want you guys to hear this because this right here is so stinking scary. And this is related to an incident that happened prior to this one. Okay? They were both drinking and got into a fight. He threw her down on this wooden bench. It's kind of like the boat has a bench where you sit around a table in the gully. It was a wooden bench, and he was on top of her, choking her, and she felt something in her neck crack. And then she had a very stiff neck for a long time. The next day, she packed her stuff, and he helped her carry all of her stuff to the dock. She came to me for a while. This is her mother. So she left and she went to her mom's house. So her mom says she came to me for a while. Where was I here? One of the conversations that Lynette and Brian had that morning on the boat, he told her he wished he had finished the job and thrown her overboard. This was a well-known statement that her daughter mentioned. This was a well-known statement that her mother mentioned. So when Lynette came back to shore after this specific incident, she told her family what he said. So while they did not specifically hear him say that, in light of her death, could that come into the court? I don't know. I really don't. I think there's going to be a hearsay rule about that, which is scary. The only thing that's going to be able to come into that, in my opinion, they might be able to get that in because she is deceased. They might be able to get that in because she is deceased. There are some rules that get some of this stuff in, but they are going to be able to tell the jury about those bruises. Now, there's also rules that are in our United States that are, 403 and 403B, which means that, it's about evidentiary rules, whether the probative value outweighs the prejudice. So we can't do anything that's going to prejudice the defendant more so than he's already prejudiced. It's a rule. It really is. I don't know what the laws are in the Bahamas. You guys got to remember, this man is not in our country. Even though they're both United States residents, our federal government hasn't opted to take over the case. They have that right. I just want to make sure everybody knows they have that right. Her mom was asked what she believes happened, and we're going to get to those as well. And she says that she asked him for more details on what happened, and one thing that was noticeable is he stated they were drinking all day, and they had been on land all day. I found out that little strip there, it has bars and everything on it. They were at a bar all day. So for him to paddle from that strip all the way over to the other side of the land, this is why none of this made sense, because he had people that could have helped him right there. And I also found out that while he was saying he was paddling the dinghy, they have evidence showing he was on board his boat, further complicating his story. So if people are starting to wonder, like, what evidence do they have that he did something? They don't have evidence of her yet. They don't have her body. They don't have anything, but they do know that he's not being truthful. And the more I read and the more I study this case, the more I'm realizing how horrible his story is. His story is so obviously bad that it makes zero sense. I don't know if he was drunk when he decided to come up with this plan. But listen, there's also another part where he states that he tells her that everything went wrong, and including one of their oars broke. This sends shivers down my spine. One of their oars broke. We have a missing person, a missing lady, and a broken oar. I'm not liking any of this, okay? And I'm pretty sure when I put it like that, you guys get where I'm going with it. right? You guys kind of get where I'm going with it. So anyways, guys, this is just the intro. Thank you. I know it's quite a long intro, but this is a new story for us. And so now we have to chronologically put this in order and try to make it make sense. But right now, it looks like a classic domestic violence case. These people were out drinking all day. They got drunk as crap. They got into an altercation, and somebody ultimately lost their life, followed by concealment. Okay, this is kind of our typical case that we run across. This is not anything that's abnormal in cases like this, right? This is just basically the same case we always cover, just different names and different details. So we have a homicide here, followed by immediate concealment and some leakage. So the original friend that he texted immediately after all this has a different story than what he ended up ultimately perfecting his story to be, that he ended up telling the mom and the daughter. So we've got multiple variations already out the gate as to what happened, and no clear answers of why didn't he just go back to the boat to call for help? Why did he spend hours going across the ocean to seek help personally when his boat was right there and he could have called help in? So all of these things are what led law enforcement to arrest him, and I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. We got a lot to go over with this case. It's a lot of horrible information too. Eeyore, it's nice to see you. Melanie, good morning. Julie up in the house. Tammy, good morning. Texas woman, YouTuber is here. It is nice to see you, YouTuber. Good morning. Good morning. Seth Rogers up in the chat this morning. It's nice to see you, my love. I hope you are doing very well. Deb, good morning. It's nice to see you. Jekyll and Hyde, good morning. Marion, it's nice to see you. Marion, it's nice to see you. I just realized, hello, love. I hope you're doing well. Some people have been reaching out to me saying that they are not getting our notifications, that they're always on the replay crew and everything like that. This is just a disclaimer. If you're here and you're having notification issues, change your bell to all. If you go to my channel, there's like the subscribe. Most of you guys are already subscribed, so the only option you have right now is join. So the other one is over on the side, there's a bell, okay? If that bell's not colored in solid, then it's on a personalized setting. So you're going to want to hit that bell, and there's a drop down, and so that's your notification. If that's on personalized, you're not getting all of my, when I go live or even premiere, you're not getting all the notifications. If you change that bell from personalized to all, and it occasionally switches back. So, periodically you need to check that. When you're noticing you're not getting all of my notifications, you just need to go check that bell. Sometimes it over time, it resets it back to personalized. So if you change that bell to all, you should start getting all my notifications. So that's what you need to do. And I thought I would explain that to you. Some people know how to do that. Some people don't. You can reach out to the mods if you need more clarification. Maybe I'll start putting some little help cheat sheets up on my platform for you guys to use. But I think that's it. But I just wanted to tell you guys that. So, Marianne, it's nice to see you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Our beautiful Sonia up in the chat. Hello, Miss Sonia. It's nice to see you this beautiful morning. Dee's Mystery, it's nice to see you. Jewel, good morning. Good morning. Claudia is with us this beautiful morning. It's nice to see you too, my love. Who else do we have? Christina, it's nice to see you. Good morning. I think I said hi to Jekyll and Hyde. Yes, yes, yes. Claudia, yes, yes, yes. Sonia, yes, yes, yes. Who else do we have? Arizona Raven, always up so darn early. You must be an insomniac like the rest of us. Except Delilah's my insomniac. I keep wanting, like, she'll just jump on my face in the middle of the morning. It's like, what the hell? She's ready to rock and roll 3:30 in the morning. I'm just letting you know. If I'm not up, she gets me up. And then after she gets me up, she goes back to sleep. She's in the bed right now sleeping. She's such an a-hole. I'm just saying. Rose, I even looked at her this morning. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you waking me up? Rose, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, good gracious. Good gracious. Whispering Winds, it's nice to see you, love. Hello, hello, Candy up in the chat with us. It's nice to see you, my love. I hope you're doing well this beautiful morning. Peggy, good morning. Denise, good morning. It's nice to see you all. Who else do we have? Moonchild. Well, good morning. Good morning. Buddy East Coast. Hi, Betty. We love you. Well, I'm glad somebody does, damn it. I'm glad somebody... I'm just joking. We love you back. We love you back. Good morning. Little Orange Man, it's nice to see you. Coco, it's nice to see you. Rue, hello, love. I hope you're doing well. Lisa, good morning, love. Everybody up so stinking early this morning. It's nice to see you. Let Them 66. We got our whole prayer warrior chat here, too. Little Cray Cray. Hey. Insane in the brain. Betty, good morning. It's nice to see you. I hope everybody's doing well. I think we got everybody. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. I'll catch you on the flip side. It is nice to see you all. We're covering a new case. We're covering the case of Lynette Hooker, the sailing hookers. We could do a lot with, the whole the whole hooker angle, but this is really a sad case, and this is really a sad case about domestic violence. Lynn Hooker, 55-year-old from Michigan, she vanished April 4th after falling overboard, according to her husband, from their 8-foot dinghy near Elbow Cay. Again, Elbow Cay, from everything I'm understanding, there's stuff there. Remember I told you that strip? I didn't know if they had stuff. Hey, Adrian, it's nice to see you. Good morning, good morning. I found out there is, and I found out there is by Dr. Granada. We're going to get to his statements. I've got a few things pulled up for him as well. We don't talk about him much. Great guy. I listen to most everything he says on most, because every case that we come off, he usually gives, his analysis, his initial analysis of the case. And because he's a psychologist and, kind of a brain guy, I like listening to him. I like listening to the experts or the people in their field. He's very monotone, he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I enjoy getting his information. So we'll cover his stuff. Maybe we'll make a few new subscribers for him after, his assessment here, which is hopeful. We always like to plug people that do great work. He does great work, far more superior than what we do here. So, her husband, 59-year-old Brian, he was arrested 4 days later on April 8th, just a few days ago. After being questioned, he was arrested on suspicion of murder. So even though they're calling it arrest, they're using different terminologies in the Bahamas. This is what we would call here stateside as being detained. So there are no charges that I've heard about so far. I've checked this morning, still no charges. Hey, Patricia, it's nice to see you, love. I haven't heard of any charges. Now, if he's been charged and it just hasn't broke news yet, I don't know. But as of this morning, as of right now, as of 6:59 in the morning, we have no knowledge of him physically being arrested and charged. He's just right now arrested and under suspicion, which is equivalent to our detainment. So he's past the 48 hours. I haven't heard that they have released him. So it sounds like that they've went back to the court and is holding him for another 48 hours, but I'll have to check those timing because he was arrested on the 8th. That means by the 10th, that means by the time the 10th, he would have had to been released from that suspicion. And I haven't heard that he was released from Bahamian custody. So they had to have gone to the courts and kept him behind bars a little bit longer. They have up to, I think, 96 hours, but they have to go through the first 48 and then they can go to the second 48. So I don't know where that is. We're kind of in this weird process because Bahamas is a different time zone. And so I would think that the news would break, but maybe it hasn't gotten into the algorithm yet. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything one way or another. But what I do know right now, it seems like he's still arrested and still behind bars. So that may change today. I just want to let you know, we don't know what's going on until the sun kind of comes up and we see what's going on in the Bahamas, whether he's going to be released. Now, he does have an attorney. So they questioned him, and then after that questioning, they ultimately arrested him after these interviews. Searches continue as recovery efforts ensue. She is considered a recovery effort. They're not, I don't believe they're expecting to find her alive. New rumors from the family and experts fuel homicide speculation, as you guys can pretty much expect here. So grab your beers, settle in. They've got some chilling updates related to Lynette Hooker and this Michigan sailor. She was very well educated, and her mom even actually said something interesting that I thought was, because we're talking about her drowning, and her mother said, damn it, where is it? I thought I wrote it down. Oh, here it is. She says her daughter was an excellent swimmer and athlete. I thought that was, because it's one thing to say that they're, like, I'm an excellent swimmer. I'm an excellent swimmer. But I'm not an athlete. Okay? She referred to her daughter as an excellent swimmer and athlete. So, anyways, just getting there. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to be on release watch, because is Brian going to be released, or is he going to be charged? We don't know. So I'm going to keep my ear. And by the way, before we get started, we're about to start the show right now. We already have another show set up after this one at 10 a.m. And I might push it up a little further depending on when we end this show this morning. But we're going to be rolling right into Nancy Guthrie. There are some information and some talking points, some probative things that we can talk about this morning before I head off to Miss Laura's. So if you guys want some updates and still want to hear about Nancy Guthrie, we're going to be doing a live right after this live here. And we'll be discussing that Nancy Guthrie. So if you guys haven't signed up for that or get notified, you might want to go out as you're hitting that thumbs up button. Go out and get notified for the live that's coming up next as well. We're not going to be talking about any Nancy Guthrie stuff on this show this morning. That'll be for the next show. This is strictly for this victim here, Lynette. She has not been found. We are looking for her. They were on land all day, folks, and they were fighting. So they know this area. They've been staying in this area for quite some time. So I'm pretty sure that they've had exploratory time. I'm not necessarily convinced that Lynette is in the water. I feel like if she's in the water, she's being weighted down. And it's going to be problematic. And I hope that they're bringing side imaging sonar or whatever type of, equipment that they've got to scan the waters to find out if there's anything, if she's there. I don't know how deep that water is or that channel is. I have to think that it's fairly deep. But I don't know how deep is fairly deep. That's going to make a difference. And then, lastly, I really kind of believe, because he's thought about throwing her overboard before, I feel like that they would, if he's trying to hide her body, he's going to make sure that they can't find her. So I feel like, there might be a shallow grave on the bank versus her being tossed out in the water. But he was on his boat when he should have been paddling to shore, and those things are going to, I thought the same. Why haven't they found her? Yeah. So I'm I'm not really married to she's in the water. I'm just not. I think something else happened. I think he freaked out. I think he set it up to make it look like she went in the water so she would never be found. So they could just, chalk it up as she drifted out to sea, right? I feel like that's it. And he would never put her in that water because he would be terrified that she would be found. I'm trying to think, I'm trying to get inside of what their head would be. They know that he knows that they would be searching the water. And if they found her, especially if he's the one that murdered her, and she didn't drown, and this wasn't from an accidental drowning, if they'll be able to tell. I mean, it's a big difference between, you know, you're going to have petechia either way. That means the cutting off of oxygen. It puts like these freckles or these blood spots, these red dots, you know, on your lids and stuff like that. It's very, very obvious, petechia. And it's from the cutting off of oxygen. So the petechia can come from drowning. The petechia can come from strangulation. The difference is in drowning, you'll have water in your lungs. In strangulation, you will not have water in your lungs. You'll have more bruising around the neck. You'll probably have that bone in the neck, the hyoid bone, broken, typically in those types of situations. So if he threw her in the water to try to stage this, once they did the autopsy, and him being a Marine would know this. Once they did the autopsy, they would know that she did not die from drowning. And so I don't know if he would have thrown her into the water to be found. So what other mechanism and what other area did he have access to during this time? You got to remember, they left, from what I'm hearing, they left the bars around 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that. And he didn't show up until 4 o'clock in the morning to report her missing as floating away, being knocked off this dinghy right after they left. I mean, he had a lot of hours, just like that guy, the Iowa student, Sanuki or whatever her name is. She was never found. And his story of just falling asleep for 8 hours on a beach, nobody saw him, just doesn't ring a whole lot of true. And I've always believed her body was buried on the ground there, and they were doing sea searches. So I think that they need to probably switch some, and he was too close to that strip. I feel like she's somewhere on that strip, you know, and he went over to that side to take the focus off that strip. I think she's somewhere on that strip somewhere. I really do. I don't know where, but I believe she might be on that strip. But he could have weighted her down. I mean, I don't know. This is the sea is so dangerous. You know, we take it for granted. Like, I'm such a good swimmer. I've never been like stung by jellyfish or anything like that. I heard that's very painful, and that really, even the most experienced swimmers can really have some major problems with some, you know, the jellyfish and stuff like that. So I've never experienced real problems in the water. So I don't know how my body would react. Would I, you know, flail? Would I drown? You know, I don't know. But from what I'm hearing, this strip here wasn't too, I mean, it was choppy, but it wasn't life-threatening. And so that's where we're kind of at. It wasn't life-threatening. So Lynette and Brian Hooker are the stars of the YouTube's Sailing Hookers. Let me just go over there real quick and just give you a little bit of, oops, no, I don't want that. No, here it is. Let's go ahead and pull this up. So this is their channel. You know, they've got a little channel. They don't really have a whole lot of subscribers, you know, about 1,000 subscribers. I mean, it's a little bit, if they're monetized, I mean, it's a little bit of money for their content, but I thought it was pretty interesting. They don't go live, but they do have these little, you know, videos of what they're doing. So this is kind of their lifestyle right here. This is them paddle boarding.
Still in recovery around here from Hurricane Darian. Some places are brand new. Some are missing. Some are missing roofs. There's a boat sunk.
And so they just kind of take us on their, you know, exploring with us. The fish. But you get to hear her voice. You get to hear some of their adventures and stuff as the sailing hookers and some of their adventures.
First blue water dolphin sighting.
be so cool. It's just very soothing. So just to show you kind of, what is on their, the Sailing Hookers channel. There's a lot, So apparently they left Hopetown at 7:30 p.m. on April 4th on their dinghy to reach their yacht, Soulmate. Brian claims Lynette fell overboard with the keys and the engine died. Now, this is what's interesting, is because Lynette's daughter says, look, Brian is the one that always has had the keys. He always keeps the keys because he's the conductor. He's the one that drives all of this stuff. He drives the boats. He's in control of the boats, outside of occasionally. He's the operator. So why would her mother have the keys? She's never had the keys before. So that was the first situation. Did they arrest the husband? They did, Mariska, but they did not charge him yet. They've got it. They call it arrest over there, but it's really what we here in the States refer to as being detained. That means he's not charged. He's just being held on suspicion of murder. So he paddled about 2.5 miles to Marsh Harbor, arriving around 4 a.m. 2.5 miles seems like it shouldn't take 4 hours or 5 hours to paddle. I don't know. I haven't had to paddle any type of boat ever, but it seems so interesting that he appeared to be on his boat during this travel across the channel there, and reported her missing Sunday morning around 4 a.m. The U.S. Coast Guard joined briefly. Now this has turned into a criminal investigation, and Brian was arrested Wednesday, April 8th, in Abaco. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Questioned for 4 hours Friday on causing harm resulting in death. No body found and no charges have been levied against him. And I want to remind everybody, Brian is innocent until being proven guilty. However, we are not we are the court of public opinion, not a court of law. Therefore, we do assess and accuse people here. We have no problem doing that. I'm not going to be browbeaten into keeping my silence or my opinions to myself. This is the Bullhorn Betty channel. We talk about a lot. But more importantly, we look at the facts before we develop our opinions. So ex-FBI agents flags holes, in the statement. Why paddles away from the swim instead of swimming toward Lynette? The dinghy is too small for the sea per friends. No life jacket mentioned. Listen, the dinghy being too small and the life jacket thing, look, I'm very familiar with this lifestyle. People use those to run between the boats. They use the little dinghies to run on shore to pick up some groceries, to do things. These little dinghies may not be designed for this stuff, but this is what they use them for. It's what they've always used them for. And nobody loses their life using the dinghy typically, okay? This is a very rare case. So he also texts his friend Daniel and says she tried to swim back. And this is going to be a very important statement because he later changes his statement when pressured and says he didn't see what direction she drifted. Now, if he can see her trying to swim back, how can he not know which direction she drifted? Because he says, but the wind blew us apart pretty quickly. So again, why is he going toward the land 2.5 miles away instead of toward the direction his wife is going? It just doesn't make sense. And in the voicemail to his stepdaughter was just a very casual, monotone statement. Hello, honey. Post disappearance raises eyebrows. Recent FBI post by Brian denies any wrongdoing, calls it a tragic accident, and his attorney, Miss Butler, chronologically denies abuse or involvement in any type of abuse. But after that statement was made, we do have Ashley Banfield with her mother, Darlene, And her mother, Darlene, paints a very, very tumultuous marriage. And many people ask, well, why did she leave? Apparently, she already had a couple divorces under her belt, and she didn't want to be divorced. It seems like a very silly reason to stay with somebody. And then when the last time, when she was ready to leave, her mom was wondering why she wasn't leaving, and she wanted her stuff. I hear that so much from abused women. I want my stuff. I want my stuff. He's got my stuff. If you had to ask a woman what her value is and whether she wants to live, and she's worried about her stuff, that should tell you just how lethal domestic violence is. It's almost like an addiction, right? It's almost like an addiction. It's lethal, and you keep wanting more. So her stepdaughter, Carly, states it doesn't add up. Why swim away? She outlines a history of fighting and drinking, even claims that Brian not only choked her mother previously, but also choked his 12-year-old daughter when she was 3 years old, and she remembers going to court for that. She says Brian choked her mom, threatened to throw her overboard. Lynette's mom, Darlene, states physically and emotionally abused her. And of course, we hear about the 2015 Michigan arrest of Lynette. And we found out when she left that jail, she was exhibiting a black eye that they did not list in that report. Because as many of you know, when you're abused and hit, bruises take a day or two to finally come to the surface from that assault. So the charges were later dropped. Brian had a bloody nose. Both were intoxicated. So Brian was also acquitted of that 2006 child abuse case where Carly witnessed him strangling his own 12-year-old daughter. And this is so important because as you guys hear, there's a few people that have done statements on, I think just recently, Gavin Fish, I think is his name, did a segment on strangulation being almost the gateway to murder. When you start getting strangled by your significant other, it's like that gateway to homicide. So, this has been going on since 2006. The first reported strangulation we have on record is in 2006, and some 20 years later, he now has a cool homicide under his belt, most likely. We haven't gotten there yet. It's not, it's speculative that she's dead and that he murdered her. But again, she's an athlete and a great swimmer, and it's hard for me to believe that she simply fell off a dinghy and just got swept out to sea. That's trying to convince me that if I fell off a boat, I would be swept out to sea. Okay, I just don't believe it. I'm a strong swimmer. I know how to deal with currents. I know how to deal with water. I have been on the water a lot. It is a second nature to me. I haven't swam in a while, but I guarantee if I'm dropped in the middle of an ocean, I would remember how to do it. Okay? So the Bahama Police activated a search investigation with fire and rescue. The United States Coast Guard started a criminal probe. At first, no foul play at the moment early on, but now with the arrest, that shifts. So here's kind of the information that we have. We have, the accident, rough seas, potentially. We have the homicide, potentially, the history, the abuse history, the arguments, the push, the body hidden, staged, Brian overboard, to post arrest. Is it overboard? Yeah, Brian overboard. I just don't understand a lot of his story, which I think is why it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. So let's go ahead and get started in this. Here we go with our first story. Husband of woman reported missing, going overboard in the Bahamas. Waits charging decision after arrest. We have no idea what the charging decision will be, but here is this. Let's listen.
This morning, the husband of Lynette Hooker, the Michigan woman missing after reportedly falling off a boat in the Bahamas, has been taken into custody. Police say they're now questioning 59-year-old Brian Hooker after announcing a criminal investigation. His attorney not elaborating on the case, only saying that Hooker categorically denies the allegations made against him. Hours before his arrest, Hooker released a statement saying, "I am heartbroken over the recent boat accident that caused my beloved Lynette to fall from our small dinghy."
I don't believe him. I will tell you that. I do not believe him. So, husband of this person releases some new information. This was pretty interesting.
Program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
So ma'am, I know you have to represent your client, but where does he think, does he believe that his wife is still alive, that she's still out there?
He is still hopeful. He's been married for 25 years. She's his life partner. He says they share everything together. He feels hopeless without her. So he is hoping that she will be recovered. He mentioned that the area where his floating device was found, there were some houses in the background, and he had hoped to return in that area the day that he was questioned by the police. He had actually paid someone to assist him to take him out there so that he could continue his search. So while I interviewed him last night, while he was in custody at the Central Police Station in Grand Bahama, that was his main concern.
Okay, so he's moved from...
So he wants to go search for it. It's just so funny. Isn't it funny how we have all these cases, all these people, they want to go search for their missing loved one that they're accused of hurting, but they never actually go out and search. Isn't it always funny? I mean, I think Katie and Chris Proudfoot, we just had Seth Rogers in our chat. I think that kind of provokes that kind of response because they were ones always talking about going out and searching and searching, but you never saw them out. You never saw them handing out flyers. You only saw them talking about doing it, never actually doing it. And so that was, when I heard this, it kind of rang true to me on that front as well. And of course, you know, this kind of is where we start getting an idea of where everything is on this. Let me see where, I think I just passed it. Yeah, I did. Okay, so it's right here. Okay, so here's where he starts talking about it. So this gives you a real lay of the land of where everything happened. This is when I finally understood exactly where everything was, like where they were hanging out, how far, like they went. He was like, they're near a strip with phones, help, and everything. And he goes across the channel to the other side. This is what makes absolutely no sense, because before, when I saw that strip, I thought, okay, well, it must not have amenities. They were at that strip all day drinking at a bar. So clearly they have electricity, they have running water on that island, and if they have bars and running water and booze and cash registers and stuff like that, I'm absolutely confident that they have telephones. They have ways to call for help. Instant ways to call for help, not having to swim or paddle across an entire channel to get to help. It makes no sense. These are, I think, are the reasons why we are in the problem that we're in with this case.
And had almost 1,000 subscribers. Now moving to the timeline of the incident. On Saturday, April 4, 2026, Lynette and Brian Hooker had their yacht anchored near a 5-mile-long barrier island called Elbow Cay.
Okay, so as you guys see, here's Elbow Cay. We're hearing that their boat was kind of hooked up somewhere up here into Hopetown, okay? So this is where they were partying. This is where bars and everything. See, you even see Tahiti Beach, you know. So this right here has a lot. Let's see what's on Elbow Cay. Elbow Cay. Let's just show you. Okay, so you guys see that? No, let me put this up here. There we go. I'm going to go through these little slideshows. So this is Elbow. Look at that. Houses, lighthouses. There's power. There's telephones. Look at all these people living on this. So you're telling me that he couldn't go here to get help. He had to go across the channel for help. He had to go across the channel for help. So that's one. Let's keep going here. Elbow Cay. Let's see what Elbow Cay. Let's go to TripAdvisory. Let's see what they've got for TripAdvisory. Elbow Cay. Do they have anything in here about Elbow Cay? They do not have anything about... Okay. Just returned from a heavily trip from Leaping Lizard Resort on Elbow Cay in the Bahamas. So they have actual resorts on Elbow Cay. That means there's restaurants there, there's telephones there's what? There is help. There is help. So Elbow Cay, here you go. There is help here. I didn't know if this was just a strip of just, natural preserves or something, but it's not. People live here. People stay here. People vacation here. This is a tourist place. So you're talking about a place that has, again, telephones. They have telephones. So now that we know that they're Elbow Cay, Hopetown, it seems like they've got a lot of help right here on this strip. Okay, so let's keep going.
This is in the Bahamas, about 200 miles east of Miami, Florida. Sunset that day was at 7:27 p.m. At about 7:30 p.m., Lynette and Brian left the Abaco Inn, which is on the southern half of Elbow.
I want you guys to hear that. Let's listen again.
Sunset that day was at 7:27 p.m.
7:27 p.m. 27 p.m. Sunset. That was sunset. So that means it's still a little light, starting to get dark, starting to be, evening, right? The sun has set. That means it's going to start getting dark very quickly. And that happened at 7:27.
At about 7:30 p.m.
So about 3 minutes later,
Lynette and Brian left the Abaco Inn.
So they left Abaco Inn. Abaco Inn, okay.
Which is on the southern half of Elbow Cay.
So now you see where it's at. He circles it for you and everything. So right there is where they were partying all day, getting drunk. Because that's what they do. They get drunk, then they fight.
They were in an 8-foot hard-bottom dinghy. On social media, the couple had posted several images of a dinghy. Presumably, this is the same one they were in on this night. The couple's destination was their yacht, Soulmate. There were conflicting reports about where exactly this vessel was anchored. Some reports say Hopetown, 2.5 miles to the north. Others imply the location was closer. Either way, the vessel was anchored at Elbow Cay. It was at most a few miles away.
So at most a few miles away, the boat. Okay? At most.
The weather conditions that evening were not ideal for sailing in such a small craft. The wind was gusting up to 23 miles per hour. At 4 a.m., now on Sunday...
Now those gusting winds, those would create a chop, okay? A very uncomfortable chop on the water. It's going to be a rough ride on a dinghy, okay? It will be a rough ride on a dinghy, but not life-threatening.
April 5, 2026, Brian Hooker arrived in the dinghy at the Marsh Harbor Boatyards, which is about 5 miles west of the Abaco.
So I said 2.5 miles. It's 5 miles. 5 miles. Look at how far of a trip he went. Now remember, they were partying here all day. We believe that the boat's up here. Somewhere between here and here, it sounds like Lynette fell off the boat. Yet, instead of going up here to his boat or going back here to call for help, he decides to paddle all the way over here at 4 a.m. in the morning and then collapse and say, "My wife fell off the boat, I need help." How How many of you guys believe that makes sense? We have 15 people in our chat right now. Raise your hand if you believe that makes sense. 1, it makes sense. 2, he's full of. So 1, he's being truthful. 2, he's full of. Just saying. That doesn't look right. Look at this. I think it's a 2. I think he's full of.
Warning, bullshit alert. That was bullshit. Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
Alice is giving him some grace. Well, you're nicer than the rest of us. Are you feeling okay? No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It's nice to have you. I think it's garbage. I think this is exactly why his story fell apart so quickly, is because none of this makes sense. Anybody with a reasonable brain, especially a Marine, would know to go back to their boat, get help immediately, get on that radio and mayday. Mayday, 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 mayday. Nobody in their right mind is going to truck across this water bay to a harbor when they have a phone right here where they were just partying at. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. So I think this is where his story broke apart. But let's get back to Dr. Grande.
Go in. He told someone there that his wife was missing. That person contacted the police. Here is the story that Brian offered about what happened to his wife, Lynette. While they were in the 8-foot dinghy, Lynette bounced out of the boat due to the strong current. She tried to swim back to the dinghy, but the wind was too strong. The distance between the dinghy and Lynette grew rapidly. Right before Brian lost sight of Lynette, she was swimming toward the shore. Brian indicated that Lynette was not wearing a personal flotation device. When Lynette went overboard, she was wearing the engine safety lanyard. This piece of equipment is attached to a kill switch on the dinghy's engine. If a person who is wearing the lanyard moves too far away from the engine, which would include going overboard, the kill switch activates and the engine shuts down. This is a safety feature. Brian.
And it's a safety feature that the operator typically has, not one of their people riding in the boat. So it would have been connected to him, not her.
Had no way to restart the engine. Down. This is a safety feature. Brian had no way to restart the engine. He tried to row to the shore, where Lynette was swimming toward, but the winds made this difficult. Instead, Brian drifted and paddled the dinghy with one oar until ending up at the Marsh Harbor boatyards. In response to the report of Lynette falling overboard, the Hopetown Volunteer Fire Rescue Team was activated at 5:12 a.m. They searched extensively for 6 hours without success. The U.S. Coast Guard also conducted a search from the air, but there was no sign of Lynette. At this point, the authorities considered...
From the air. See, I don't like that. The problem is like, especially out there in those waters are so clear. And when you're kind of up in the air, you see it's almost glass. Unless you're in really choppy water or really brackish water, you have almost a clearer bird's eye view from above looking down. You can see the sharks. You can see a lot of stuff swimming. You can even see the stingrays swimming from up in the air. So they're telling us that they even had the helicopters up running for 6 hours looking for her. And, I would think that even if she sunk down a little bit, she would have still been visible, something visible from the air, potentially, which kind of solidifies why I think that she may not be in that water. I feel like he had plenty of time to get rid of her more thoughtfully. And him being a Marine, he would have had... Marines are not, like for Chris and Katie, they're both Navy. I'm thinking water for them, but this is a Marine. I'm thinking land for him. I'm sorry, I just am.
the effort to find Lynette a recovery mission. On Wednesday, April 8, 2026, the police in the Bahamas detained Brian Hooker as a suspect in connection with his wife's disappearance. The U.S. Coast Guard has launched a criminal investigation. Brian has not been charged with any crime. His attorney said that Brian categorically and unequivocally denies any wrongdoing. Brian has been cooperating with the relevant authorities as part of the ongoing investigation. Lynette's daughter, Carly, has given interviews to the media. She claimed that there was a history of domestic violence in the relationship between her mother, Lynette, and her stepfather, Brian. Allegedly, 2 years ago, he threatened to choke Lynette and throw her overboard. Carly supplied CBS a voicemail from Brian where he mentioned that he threw a flotation device to Lynette after she fell in the water. The authorities had allegedly recovered this device, but of course did not recover Lynette.
And it's interesting because that flotation device would also help identify how she would drift. So where that flotation device would be, if she was drowning, she would slow down because she's more weight than a flotation device. So from the place that he thought he was to the place where they found that flotation device could get them a distance, a distance of how powerful the water is moving to help identify where she may go. I mean, if she's in a specific spot, your body's not going to drift upstream, right? It's going to go with the flow of the water. So, our maritime people, our Coast Guards, they'll be able to calculate that. They should be able to find out specifically where she should be if she died in that water.
At the time I am making this video, the investigation by the police in the Bahamas and the U.S. Coast Guard continues. Now moving to my analysis.
We're not going
Brian
to
Hooker maintained.
We're not going to go to his analysis. If you'd like to go to Todd Grande's analysis, here is his. We're not going to get to his analysis. I just wanted the facts because this was the first time I got to see the where everything was. That was super, super important. Seeing the map of the island. Seeing where they were partying at. Seeing where they most likely had their boat at, and then showing you guys what he did. He could have just went this way and got help immediately. He chose to go this way. Nobody understands this, and he can't explain this. But he was over here partying. And I've heard somebody said the Abaco beach resorts where they were partying at way over here. That's not the case. They were over here. When people were saying they were over here, this would make sense, but that's not where they were. They were over here. Here's Elbow Cay. Here's Hopetown. Here's where they believed that their vessel was their yacht was anchored right here. So why would he go from here over here instead of from here up here? It doesn't make sense. And why would he be swimming away from his wife? And then he says, well, I couldn't see her. Well, he made multiple statements that he saw her swimming towards shore, that he saw her in the water, that he tried to swim with her, but the current split them apart. So nothing he says, and not only that, if his wife really went overboard, why is he still in the dinghy? I'm not sure about you, but if I saw my friend, not even the love of my life, but I saw just my friend go over the dinghy and is struggling, my ass is in that water with them. I'm diving in right after them. And there's no way that they could have drifted away that quickly. I mean, I want you to think about this. Think about everything you know about swimming and everything you know about the water. Outside of hurricane force winds, I don't see where this story is plausible. Outside of hurricane force winds, I don't see where this is plausible. I just don't. And then, of course, we get here with Ashley Banfield, which Ashley Banfield had a great interview with Lynette's mom, Darlene. This is Darlene here. She goes through a lot of information. She did this because she wants anybody that is struggling in domestic violence. If you are a person that is in a domestic violence home, she wants you to quit going back. She wants you to quit going back for the sake of her daughter. She's doing this because she believes her daughter is gone. She believes Brian killed her daughter. She has been preparing for this day for years. She knew the call was going to come one day. She just didn't know when. That's got to be horrible. That has got to be horrible. That this lady here has been prepared for this moment. She has prepared herself mentally for this moment for years. That's problematic for me. So let's go back here. Where are we? Right here, maybe.
What was your impression of Brian when he was drinking?
When Brian drank, Brian could be mean, hateful, say unpleasant things. And that pretty much describes him. He also got physical. This is not the first time there's been where I thought I was lucky to have Lynette in the past. This time it's just like it just progressively got worse. And so this is where we're at now. That's why I'm on here. I kind of want to I want to honor my daughter and tell her story, and also support my granddaughter, who's lived with Lynette and Brian. That was her mother and stepfather, and experienced a lot of things firsthand that I never did. I always got the phone calls when she was at her wit's end and couldn't take any more. So
You mentioned to me before that Lynette left Brian multiple times.
Oh yes. She left him. Oh, it seemed like it ran in about a year and a half, 2 years cycle. And she'd come home and she'd be like 3 weeks, and then she'd go back. And then this last time that she went, when he had choked her and when she has the bruises on her back and took the picture to remind herself, she was here at my house in Florida, and she was looking for a job. She was going to stay in this house while we were up in Michigan and start over. She didn't want to. She was 50 years old and she didn't want to start over. She was embarrassed because her...
Don't ever be embarrassed. Start over. Start over. Start over. Start over. Start over. Start over. There's more to it.
Everybody smiles and everything is perfect. But the one thing that I made my daughter do is I said, I want you to document everywhere you go and everything you do so I know where you are, because I needed that. And she made sure that she did that when you go on the sailing hookers and you see. Brian, they wanted to have a boat. She kind of wanted to have a boat in Michigan and a boat in Florida, or maybe some property in Michigan and one in Florida. But he wanted a boat in Florida and for the warm weather. But they ended up selling everything in 2020, house and the whole content.
You mentioned that she took photos. Lynette took photos of herself to remind herself. What was she trying to remind herself of?
She's pretty.
Not to go back.
And she went back.
She wanted some evidence that she would look at and convince herself not to go back to Brian.
Yeah.
And yet she went back.
And yet she went back. She was looking for a job. She had this house to live in, and she chose to go back. And I had to get help with that one because I just don't understand why you want to go back to be mistreated when you know it's going to happen again. And it's just a cycle. When they were happy together and when they weren't drinking, it was a good. All marriages have good points and bad points. When there was no drinking, they were fine. But the drinking was their downfall. He would get mean. Yeah.
I think you mentioned to me that you consulted battered women's shelters for advice on how to handle Lynette. Tell me about that.
Well, that was because I just can't understand. I could not understand. It just makes no earthly sense. And they said, support your daughter no matter what. Don't criticize and condemn the situation too much, because if he is controlling, you won't see your daughter at all. Support your daughter, be there every time she needs you, and maybe one time she'll be strong enough where she won't go back.
And she went back, and now she's missing. She came back home.
If there was any more going on, I don't know. And I want people that are out there, like my daughter, to take the story and understand that maybe this person, though you love them, they may not be the best choice for you. Maybe it's just not meant to be. And it's take a good look at your relationship and get out of it while you can, if you can. And so, go ahead.
When she would visit you, when she would come back from Brian,
Yeah.
did she intend to stay with you, and then ultimately she would say goodbye to you?
Yep.
What would that be like?
And she's like I said this last time, she was looking for a job. She said, I can't anymore. This was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And ultimately he wasn't drinking, and things were, nice on the phone. So, well, I'll give him one more try. And I says, how many chances do you want to give him? Kill you.
What was going through your mind every time she got back on that plane to go back to the boat?
It could potentially be the last time I ever see my daughter alive.
Did you ever tell her that?
I don't think so. My husband said he told her. You have to walk such a tight line. You don't want to alienate him too much. You'll never see your daughter again. So it's just, I tried to support my husband or my daughter when she was with him. We laughed on occasion. We had good times. We played cards, but he has two sides to his
Jack.
personality.
Nice to see you.
And he can be very pleasurable, pleasant, and he can be very vicious. So
I think you described for me something that Lynette told you one of the times she came home, when she said she'd been hurt. She said that her neck had cracked. Can you describe what it was she told you and what she said
Here's
Brian
what I
had
read.
said to her in that incident?
Here's what I read earlier.
They were on the boat and both drinking. I'm not saying it was a one-sided drinking. They were both drinking, and they got in a fight. And he threw her down on this bench, a wooden bench, kind of like in a camper. The boat has a little bench where you sit around the table in the gully, and she landed on that, and it was a wooden bench, and he was on top of her, and he was choking her, and she felt something crack in her neck, and she was so stiff-necked for a long time, and I don't know how or why, but she stayed on that boat that night. And the next morning, they packed all of her stuff, both of them. He helped her carry all of her stuff to the dock. And she came home to me for a while. But one of the conversations that they had while they were on the boat the next morning is he told her that he wished he had finished the job and thrown her overboard. So
Did she not take it seriously? Did she think
That is pretty... I mean, this woman's believable. You don't tell me if this lady here and her granddaughter goes to court, the juries are not going to put a lot of stock in these statements. They are absolutely going to. The question is these statements going to be allowed in? Because the person that actually experienced this, the firsthand knowledge, because she's being told by her daughter that he said this. There is hearsay rules in trials. Because she's deceased, will they be able to see? These are the things that don't ever go into trial. We know that this has happened. We know, but this would be prejudicial. So when he goes to court for this story may never even come in. The jury may never even know about this incident, this prior incident. Why? Because there's no real record of it. She didn't call law enforcement. She came home. She told her mom. She told her daughter. Would they be able to get in? I know because this lady is dead, they do have some rules to get some things in. But would this story be able to get into trial? And my answer is probably not. We'll see how the Bahamian, rules work, but this might be too prejudicial to even bring into his trial if he is charged. Yep, yes it is. It's hearsay. Yep, it's hearsay. And there's a hearsay rule. But how does that hearsay rule work? Let me see how the hearsay rule works. Let's go to ChatGPT. Generally, oops. Okay, here's what it says. At a high level, hearsay is out of court statement offered to prove the truth what it asserts, and generally inadmissible because the speaker cannot be cross-examined. When the original speaker is dead, the analysis shifts, but the statement doesn't automatically come in. Instead, courts look at whether a recognized hearsay exemption applies, specifically those that require the declarant to be unavailable. So let's go through here. Unavailable. Under Federal Rules of Evidence, Rule 804, death qualifies the person as unavailable. That opens the door to certain exceptions, but does not give guarantee admissibility. So this is what I'm talking about. I know that there's a rule that, when somebody's dead, there are statements that can come in, but let's read them. So statements against the interest. So 804B3, this is one of the most important criminal contexts. If the deceased person said something that was against their own penal interest, could expose them for criminal liability, and a reasonable person would say it is unless it were true. A reasonable person wouldn't say it unless it were true. It may be admitted. So this is probably where we're going to be, was against their own penal interest? Could it expose them? I think this right here and this right here. It may be admitted, but examples. Here's the examples. Now, a deceased person told a friend, I helped hide the body. That's incriminating, so it may come in. But see, she's talking about what happened to her versus what he did. Well, I guess she did explain what criminal elements he did, but she was not complicit with it. So courts are skeptical of statements, shift blame to someone else, or tries to minimize the speaker's roles, which they're not doing. She's dead. So dying declaration applies. The statement was made while believing death was imminent. It concerns, that doesn't really apply. Forfeiture of wrongdoing. If the defendant caused a witness death and did so to prevent them from testifying, that could be that might fall under 804B6. I have to see some of the case law on that to see if that would fit there. And then we got residual exemption 807, which is statement has strong guarantees of truthworthiness and may be probative, more probative than available evidence. She probably would fall under the 807 rule, in my opinion. So we're looking at probably 804B6 or 807 to get those in. But again, it's a case-by-case basis, and there is no guarantee that these statements will ever be able to come in at trial. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that, and I wanted to show you some receipts. I know that, but I figured we might as well pull it up on Chat GPT so you guys could see it for yourself. And that's basically what I was explaining. So we've got this situation. Now they're about to start going into some of the conversations that her mom had with Brian before he was arrested.
Think it was just hyperbole, like he was just all talk?
How could you think somebody was all talk when you're being choked? You know, I guess she just kept hoping. She didn't want to be in a divorce, and another divorce, because she was married a couple times before, and so was he. And so she just kept going back hoping. She loved him, but she didn't love that side of him. And it just was always there.
That's the classic domestic violence, right? You're hoping for the man that you fell in love with. That man was just a facade. That's the classic abuser. The man that you fall in love with is the facade. The monster is who they really are.
Darlene, what do you think happened that night, Saturday night, when she disappeared?
Brian called me, called us to tell us that Lynette was missing 24 hours after she was missing. And
this is important because the 24 hours is super important. He was trying to deal with all of this himself, keep it all under wraps, and then it's like, I got to call the family. He waited entirely too long to call the family. 24 hours to call her mother and her daughter? You know why? Because they knew. And once he told them, he knew they knew. 25 years they were married. He knew that these two people, the daughter and her mother, knew.
And I said, I need more details. And he said, we drank all day, and we were on land all day, and we had been drinking. And he said,
okay, we're going to go back just a few because I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you guys hear her story. I'm not going to interrupt it. I'm going to let it play through because this is, we're going to be talking about this specific statement where she goes through the details that Brian told her. But as you guys heard, one of the biggest problems in this entire family is their drinking. Everything starts and ends with drinking. Brian's a different person when he's not drinking. She's a different person when she's not drinking. So they're both drinking. They're both fighting. They're both most likely putting their hands on each other because she keeps going back. Mom keeps saying, and obviously there were some injuries on Brian back in 2015. So no matter who started the fight, they were both being physical with one another, period. And now we're hearing that this day that she falls off this boat and is never seen again, just disintegrates in the water. They're drinking all day long. And what do we know about them two drinking all day long? The evening's going to be very violent. That's what we know. That's their history. So now we've got confirmation from Brian that they were drinking all day. That means they've got him charged right now. They have charges for him because he was operating that motor vehicle. They have evidence to prove that they were drinking because they were at this one bar probably all day. So they'll have the receipt. They'll be able to determine that they were under the influence of alcohol. They will be able to arrest Brian for operating that boat under the influence. They've got him dead to rights on that, it sounds like. But at the end of the day, now we have drinking all day. So now we know this is where this is where all their fights begin. This is where all their fights begin. So let's back up 10 seconds. Let's back up 15 seconds. We're going to start this all over. I'm going to shut up because I want you to hear this whole section because it's very interesting. And then we'll go back and tear it apart once you hear it.
after she was missing. And I said, I need more details. And he said, we drank all day, and we were on land all day, and we had been drinking. And he said, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I didn't have a radio. He said an oar broke. And he just kept going on and on. I didn't do this, I didn't do that, it's all my fault. And I said, but why not go after Lynette? Why go the opposite direction? He says, I didn't know where she went. But my thought was, she fell off of a dinghy that wasn't running, and she didn't swim back to the boat for some reason. It's an unsinkable dinghy. Why wouldn't she swim back? My daughter was an excellent athlete and swimmer. So it is, I mean, it makes no sense.
So there you guys have it. It makes no sense. My daughter was an excellent athlete and swimmer. An excellent athlete and swimmer. Unsinkable dinghy. Why didn't she swim back? He tells her he couldn't see her. Yet he tells everybody else she tried to swim and they were split apart. So he obviously knew what direction she went if they were split apart. Like if he's here and she's there and she's drifting this way, he would know where to go. But he didn't swim toward her. He swam in the opposite direction, telling her he didn't know where she was, but telling his best friend on a text he saw her. He tried to swim toward her. She was swept away. He threw a life preserver or something, a flotation device to her. The flotation device is lighter, so it would move quicker than a body, you know? So whacked with it. You guys caught that too. The oar broke. My notes even say here, listen to this. I wrote it down. Didn't have a radio, an oar broke, and I said, like, let me show you guys this. How? Right? How? Right here. Right here. Do you guys see that? How? How did it break? I put that in the notes. Like, we're missing a person and you're telling us an oar's missing. Like, our brain cells are already visualizing that oar cracking her upside the head, is it not? Of course it is. Yeah, broken oar, of all things. How did it break? So there's a lot of things going on here, and I believe this man was volatile, and I do believe things were probably going on that day because they were drunk. Everything was probably going wrong because he was probably in a piss poor mood, right? And so he made it 10 times worse, and then he probably blamed her for having such a bad day that he created because it's always her fault because he's an abusive piece of shit. So we do have these stories. We know that she was abused. We know that the abuse was not recorded on the record by law enforcement, but it was recorded by the family. The family's going to be the biggest evidence, I think, for his past behavior and past abuse. This lady here, if they can get this, why is it doing that? Hold on a second. Oops, let me go this way. I don't know why that does that. I'm sick of my freaking cameras getting all janky. Okay. Sorry about that. So these people are believable. And you know what? They don't seem like they harbor any animosity. And if you notice, moreover, she didn't just blame him. She put some blame on her daughter too. That's what makes this even more believable. She's like, look, it wasn't just him drinking. It was my daughter drinking too. She didn't let him own that by himself. So it seems to me that this mom is being ultra honest. Like, I don't see her being deceptive or just trying to run the bus over just Brian. She's taking some ownership for her own daughter's drinking and being and staying in this, and the fact that her daughter didn't refuse to leave because she didn't want to be a third-time divorcee. I don't care, I mean, I've been married once, I've been divorced once. I mean, it makes you not really want to jump right back into a marriage. And then after another failed relationship after my marriage, I realized I don't have it. It's very, very painful. I didn't feel like, it's like the cigarettes, right? I got off the cigarettes, and after losing my brain after the cigarettes, and then finally shaking the vapes, it's like, I don't want to do that again. I'm not touching any of that. I stay away from him like a rattlesnake. That's kind of how me and men have been for the last 3 years, right? Very painful. I stay away from him like the rattlesnakes, because in many cases they are for me, right? So that's kind of, and I understand that, but it came with a lot of pain. And, seeing her going back to this and constantly going back to the violence and stuff like that, I don't understand. I mean, I do, because I was a battered, very, very young. My very first relationship, my very first love was very, very volatile and very abusive. I was 15 years old. I was beaten almost daily by this other 15-year-old kid, very, very angry boy. And that was kind of my introduction. That's what I felt love was, that was, and so it was like every time I turned around, no matter who I dated, it would always be sometime, no matter what, I always felt like I always picked the wrong person, and being divorced and having a failed relationship, I don't feel like having another failed relationship. I get it. I do get that aspect of not wanting to be a divorcee again. But if I started dating somebody and they were putting my life in jeopardy, would that be the catalyst of me not leaving? I don't know, because it's so toxic. Domestic violence is mental as well. People can't just walk away from it. They've got to get, deprogramming, if you will, from the abuse. So when you're right into that abuse, I don't know. It just, it kills everything. I don't think you think clearly. I just don't think you think clearly. Like you think it's going to get better. You don't think it's going to get worse. Like, you don't think it's going to take your life. I know that many people, even when they're scared, they know that their significant other is abusive and violent, but they know that they may do this, but they'll never do that. They'll never go there. They'll never, hurt me to death. And that is the biggest misconception from people. And maybe some people are truly fearful of their significant other, thinking that they will truly, one misstep, they'll be dead. That's a scary, volatile situation. But most domestic violence cases are not like that. Most domestic violent cases are normal. Like normal lives, you're really good. It's just that when things get really bad, they get very, very bad and very dangerous very quick. Many people deny their abuse. It's embarrassing. Nobody wants to acknowledge that they've allowed themselves, especially women, that they've allowed them, because that's what they think in their brain, that they've allowed themselves to be abused, that they've allowed themselves to be worthless. A lot of people, they're stripped of their will. They're no longer human. They're surviving, in some of these cases. It sounds like when they got isolated, when they got on this boat and they didn't have to answer to their families anymore, it sounds like this is when the abuse got really, really bad, because they're in such closer quarters. When you're in a home, even if you have a volatile relationship, you've got distance. One person can be in the kitchen while somebody's lounging out by the pool or mowing the yard. You've got distance between you. If things are, you got a place to run. You got to, like, if you get into a heated disagreement, you can go into one of the spare bedrooms and slam the door shut and just sit and watch TV for a while until you calm down. When you're on a boat, you're in close quarters. There's no place to go. You have to look at that person in the face 24/7, whether you want to or not. And I think that the toxicity really starts amplifying. And then, of course, you try to drink your problems away. And I just think it just makes the problems worse. So is that what we're dealing with here? Was this the ultimate isolation technique? Back in 2023, their relationship was getting to a point where she wanted to leave, and they're like, oh, let's just sell everything and go on the boat. We'll have the best time of our life. And now he's taken her away from her entire family, isolated her, increased the abuse, and now took her life. I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like she lasted 3 more years after he took her out of her house. That's what it looks like to me. Betty, I've said it before, I'd rather be alone and happy than be with somebody and miserable. Amen. Amen. So, it's sad. And, and for the dudes out there that are watching this, you want to know why you got crazy freaking ladies? This is why. Because none of us trust you animals. You guys, we need more dudes out here speaking against domestic violence, not, waiting until it happens and saying, oh, shame on this. You should be living by example, showing people how real men operate, how they treat their ladies. That's what you guys need to be doing out here on this social media apps. If you've got a sister and you don't want her being, beaten or whatever, then, show people what it's like to be a real dude, right? That it's not cool to be beaten up on your women. It's just not cool. Find other outlets to get some of that animosity out of your body. I mean, we all get frustrated. Trust me, there's a lot of people's heads I'd like to pop, but you don't see me popping heads. I'm just saying. It's called self-control. Trust me. If popping heads was lawful, I've got a list. I got a list. It's getting longer by the day, too. I'm just joking. Everybody's like, yeah, we got our list, too. I would never put my hands on a woman and taught my sons the same. Aw, that's sweet. That's sweet. Well, we definitely appreciate that. It's just not cool. And ladies need to be taught the same damn thing. Okay? This thing that you think that because you're a female that you think you can go and when you get upset and put your hands on somebody and then beg them to touch you back because, I'll have to tell everybody you hit me. Well, boo, you better keep your damn hands off to yourself, your damn self. All right? I'm an equal opportunity person, okay? That means if you don't want it happening to you, don't be doing it to somebody else. But I damn sure don't want to hear you bitching about it. If you as a female go and smack somebody in their face, a dude in their face, and you get yourself hit, baby, you asked for it. Okay? Keep your hands to yourself. My philosophy is if everybody keeps their hands to themselves, nobody can be hit. Right? Nobody can be hit. Because I'm telling you, I'm a female. And if a dude puts their hands on me and puts their fist in I'm putting my fist right back. And I've got to be honest with you. I can't imagine telling some dude that you have to sit on your hands when somebody does that to you. I'm fair, right? This world's not fair, but doesn't mean that I can't be. So don't put your hands on somebody, and I don't want you hearing saying, Betty, oh my God, Betty's abusive. She's just not with girls. No, I'm with everybody. I'm with everybody on this, okay? I'm an even person. You don't hit somebody, they don't hit somebody. It's just that simple, okay? That's it. That's all I'm saying. But I'm saying if a dude goes and pile drives another dude, a dude's going to hit him back. If a female goes and pile drives a dude, a dude's going to hit her back. If a female pile drives another female, a female's going to hit her back. Okay? That's what I'm saying. So you can take that and twist it all around, but don't get it twisted. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Keep your damn hands, your muggy hands to yourself, everybody. If you feel the need to put your hands on somebody, sit on them. You guys see me? I sit on my hands. Let me around Eric Craddock. I'll show you how it's done. I'm begging for another one of those protective orders. I'm begging for another one of those protective orders. Come on now. Pop, pop, baby. Pop, pop. Let me at him. All satire aside, keep your damn hands to yourself. Okay? If everybody just kept their hands to themselves, they would never have to worry about any of this stuff. We wouldn't have to worry about any of this stuff. You know what this is all about? This is all about somebody wanting somebody else to do something that somebody else didn't want to do, right? The only time anybody puts their hands on somebody is if they didn't get their way. All right? You don't even see abusive people hitting somebody when they're happy, right? So the only time they get upset is when what? They don't get their way. That's it. When they don't get their way. So keep your muggy hands off. Quit deflowering the flower pot. You a-hole. Where's Bob's Burgers? Oh, Bob's Burgers is on the floor. How did Bob's Burgers get on the floor? Don't be messing with my Bob's Burgers now. My freaking office is starting to throw things around here.
I'm the Sasquatch Kid! No, sick! Okay, everyone, great job back in the kitchen. Mommy doesn't get drunk, she just has fun. Oh, like I'm not gonna sit. I'm excited.
You're CNN. You're fake news. You have an agenda.
All right. So let's get back to this. So the ladies, this is what we've got going on here in this story with Lynette Hooker. It sounds like she's lived in a domestic violence situation for 25 years. And after 25 years, the situation got so volatile that she's now gone. She's missing. It does appear, and I think everybody can conclude, especially in light of him being in jail right now and detained under suspicion of murder, that everybody believes he killed his wife and tried to cover it up. She's an avid swimmer. She could have swam to the side of... She could have swam anywhere, right? If she was in that water and she didn't want to get back on the boat because they were fighting or whatever... She could have swam back to New Hope. She could have swam back to Elbow Cay. She could have swam closer. She wouldn't have been trying to swim all the way across that channel. I just don't see her doing that. But, you know, at the end of the day, she's a great athlete and a great swimmer. And I can tell you that I've been crap-faced drunk, and you don't forget how to paddle when you're in the water and drunk. Okay? Now, it might have been part of my past life, and I do remember it vaguely, but I've survived. I'm here. I can breathe. I'm just saying. So I believe that even her going into that water wouldn't have been enough to knock her unconscious or make her, it would have probably woke her up a little bit, you know, out of the drunken stupor that she might have been in. But either way, I don't believe that. I believe they got into a fight and he hurt her. And it sounds like he's a strangler. So it sounds like he may have lost his cool, went too far, and next thing you know, he's covering up a crime. This sounds like a typical case that we deal with of the oh shit factor. Oh shit, what have I done? Followed by concealment. And where did he conceal her? We have a dead body somewhere. Where is it? Is it in the water or is it on land? I personally am starting to feel like it's on land. I feel like they've done enough in that area, but the problem we have is that he had so many hours, 7-8 hours to clean up. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. If his boat never left that area, I just don't see her being in that water. If his boat left that area, maybe. But if his boat did not leave that area, I really think that wherever his boat is, she's somewhere between that bar. Let's pull that area back up. Is this? I believe she's buried either somewhere in here, like anywhere on this island here, Or maybe even this Tahiti Beach or whatever this island over here is. This looks pretty close in proximity. This doesn't look, it looks kind of out there. I bet you this one out. Oh, I probably, I think this is the thing. Let's see, Marsh Harbor. Let's see if we can pull this up on the Hope Town. All right. So where is Elbow? Okay, there it is. So here's, okay, so here we are. Okay, I see all this now. All right, guys. So we have Elbow Cay. They were partying right here. Here's Hope Town. I think they would probably, if anything, swim here. But look at how shallow this is. This really isn't deep either. Because look at this. You can see almost a sandbar here. Can you guys see that? Let me see if I can. Yeah, you guys can see that. So we've got almost a sandbar here. This is all shallow. This is a little deeper over here. But this is all fairly shallow. How the hell would she have drowned in this and not be found? Yeah, this, she's weighted down in the water, seeing delight, says. Look at this. This is shallow. Now, I don't know, I mean, I don't know much about a lot, but this is shallow. These deeper colors right here, these deeper pockets, those are deep. You can see out here, this is deep. This is real deep. And you can even see this. This is real deep here. This is like a marina type of thing here. You can see where the channel, like almost the channel of the deepness. But over here, you've got, like, this is like one big sandbar right here. So I don't see, you know, and you can see up here, you can see the deeper waters. Why did they have their boat, you know, all the way up here? It looks like because of the deeper waters. I don't know if they could get their boat down here. You know, it's got such a large hull. I don't know if they would be able without getting, you know. So that would explain why they parked their boats, you know, up here in this area, because you can see where the deeper water would be. This would be perfect. They can go right out here, you know, or right out here. So I don't know, but we're finding out that they partied down here. It sounds like he paddled all the way over here, which doesn't make sense. I don't know. I would like to learn more about this island right here. This seems like doesn't really have a whole lot on it. Oh, I guess it does. It does look like there's some houses on it. Sure does. Dill Bay. Moonrise. They have even a little bread and service accommodations. Looks like they have some type of hotel there, potentially. Huh. Moonrise? Maybe it's just where they go to watch the moon, possibly. I don't know. Recently viewed. It looks like, I mean, it's got a bed symbol. It looks like it's a hotel or something. There's not a lot on here, but there is some things on this Club Love, the Sea Biscuits. So they have some, even some livelihood. But look at all this dead space, like right here. This is all, there's not a lot of civilization on the tip. And this would be the, like, I would think somewhere along here. This looks good for it. But I don't know. This is just some of my opinions about what we're looking at here. Do I know what happened? I don't know what happened, but I can tell you, looking at everything that I'm looking at and listening to the statement from her husband, there are some questions that don't make sense. I can see why law enforcement is really focusing on him, because there's questions he's not answering correctly. Like, why did he go in the opposite direction of his wife? The water was not so bad. And so, I mean, outside of hurricane forced winds, what he's describing couldn't have possibly happened. If she was there and she was separating from him, he could have dove into the water and swam to her. If the current is pulling her away, swimming in the direction of the current, you're going faster because you're swimming when the current is only taking her and she's swimming against it. So you guys would have caught up together and would have been able to help each other if that was even. But I'm looking at this map here, or this water here, and I'm sorry. This is really kind of not looking. Oh, let me back it back out. Yeah, this is really kind of not looking very deep. You know, it just doesn't seem like it is that life-threatening. As a matter of fact, it looks like in some of these areas she could just stand up. Just stand up out of the water. And I don't know if you have this type of sandbar here, what type of current that could possibly force through there. The sandbar would kind of be the deterrent of swift waters. Okay, because you got to have, in order to have swift waters, you got to have a straight, you know, like a straight through it. Like a sandbar is like a mountain, a hill, right? So it's hard to have like white rapid water when you have a barrier, a block, a wall, a sandbar. So the story that I'm now seeing with my knowledge of sandbars and flow of water and how sandbars can prevent that swift, straight type of, you know, motion in the water, it just doesn't seem like it would be here. Now, I could be wrong again. I'm not from the Bahamas. I want to preface that. I don't know this area. Hell, I didn't even know whether this island or this thing here even had businesses on it. I'm just now learning it has businesses on it, which again goes to the elements that why did this guy go all the way to the other side when he had help right there, much closer to him and his wife. It's just unbelievable, right? It seems too cinematic. He overthought this. He would have been more believable if he stayed on this side and got help from this side. So that's what's making me believe that there's something over here on this side. And I'd like to look at that little island right there. That does look like there's some desolate areas that could, and they were so close to that, because if we go over here, right here is where they were partying at. And then that is all the way over there, just straight across, almost perpendicular. Is that right? Perpendicular? Is that catty corner? Catty corner? Catty corner to it. So it seems like that would be the side that they would go on. To go all the way over to that harbor, Marsh Harbor, that's too far away. Why would he do that? It doesn't make sense. All right, guys, I'm probably going to kickstart this off at about 9 or 9:30. We have another live coming up. It's going to be related to Nancy Guthrie, the Nancy Guthrie case, some new information related to the Nancy Guthrie case. We're going to be going over all that. As you guys see, if you didn't understand why Mr. Brian Hooker was arrested, it's because these things that he cannot explain. This does not sound like they had just a bad day and everything went wrong. Something more happened here. Simple answers like, why did she have the key when he was always the operator of the vehicle? It doesn't make sense. Nobody can explain it. He's trying to profess that he has no history of domestic violence, yet two people very close to this woman has talked about very specific incidences that they personally witnessed. And because of the flight logs, I'm pretty sure that those can also be confirmed through flight logs. So I've got the show scheduled for 10 a.m. and that's in an hour and a half. I don't foresee us waiting until 10 a.m. to kickstart the next show. So please, guys, go on over there to the Nancy Guthrie case. Go ahead, hit that notification. We will be starting it between 9:30 and 10. Okay, so if you don't want to miss anything, please be there, but probably closer to 9:30. There should be people in the chat chatting, so you won't be alone. You won't be without, information. And then we'll start talking about this inside job. I really feel like nothing is working but an inside job. There's a lot of professionals that believe that there was multiple people involved, which we know, my feeling, if there's multiple people involved, they were after Miss Guthrie. For what purpose, we don't know. I believe it's a hit. Some people believe it's for something else, resentment, something. I don't believe it's about money. I just don't believe it's about money. That's just, it's, I don't think it's ever been about money. It's something more. It's something different. It's something different. That's why I never believed it was really the family. But we entertain those options, and we still talk about the possibility of those options being here. But the inside job is really what I think is taking hold. We're going to be kind of exploring this inside job in the Nancy Guthrie case. So come on back. Let's have a chit chat. Let's see where everybody thinks everything is going to go. And starting next week, starting Monday, we're going to try to start incorporating. We're going to do some test runs starting Monday to incorporate multiple platforms on our show. Multiple platforms on our show. I don't think so, but is there something else, Patricia? There might be. I don't know what we're dealing with here with the Nancy Guthrie case. What I can tell you is that if we were to look at the facts and we were to make the lady younger, we would think this is another domestic violence situation. So with those elements and this feeling personal, plus the family being cleared, it's really feeling like an inside job. How close is this inside person? I can't tell you that. I think that a lot of people are really honing in on the familiarity of this person. We've watched this tape enough that every time we watch it, we get a little more something out of it, when it comes to the porch guy. So I just think that this is an important discussion to have about the case. Who are we looking at? The family's been very secretive, which is very uncomfortable, because you would think that anybody that's in the biz knows how important it is to keep the eyes on this case, to keep this front and center. There are so many families around this world that wish they could get this kind of attention for their missing loved one. And they would be using it and not squandering it. And then you have, the Guthrie family that just wants everybody to go away. It's really odd. It's really odd. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for praying for the family. But I think we're tired of hearing that. And I think that this whole thing's going to start coming back and biting even Savannah. And I really hate for that to happen. But I know how social media works, and I know how media works. And at the end of the day, we're seeing some very disturbing behaviors from the family, from Annie and Tommaso flicking people off. Like they're out there trying to find answers for your mom. Most of those people don't even think that Annie and Tommaso have anything to do with it. They're just, updating their family, and they're getting flipped off by these people. And it's kind of, their attitude is starting to feel a little like Chris and Katie Proudfoot. We don't like that. Then you got the fact that nobody's out there searching. Annie and Tommaso are not famous like their sister. There's no reason why they can't be doing some stuff. We don't see anybody doing anything. We don't see anybody passing around flyers from the family. We don't see anybody, trying to coordinate any search parties or any passing around flyer parties. It seems like it's being left to all of the social media content creators or anybody else out there that really gives a damn about this case, like Brian Enton. And I think it's starting to wear on everybody. It's starting to wear on everybody. So I know everybody started out, giving Savannah the we love you, but that's going to start changing if the family keeps acting like this. I'm not saying that we're going to do it. We just know how this all works. I'm starting to hear the changes of tides, where now we're not getting anything, and now they're going to be turning up the pressure on the family. because nobody believes the sheriff, because the sheriff has a horrible reputation, and they believe that the family was prematurely cleared. And I think that is problematic, and I think that that's going to start growing legs and arms. I mean, I've already saw what Hustle wrote yesterday, right? We are already starting to see the changes already happen from people that have platforms bigger than Bullhorn Betty. We're already starting to hear that. And then, we're starting to talk about inside jobs. Now, my focus is I'm still not really thinking it's an inside job from the family. In all fairness, I'm not. But we do need to look at the commentary. We do need to look at the case, and we do need to develop all the people that would have motive, that could be an inside job. So be prepared, bring some notes. Let's make lists. Let's start going through these lists. Let's start seeing what might make sense with what we know to be true about the case, and really try to build this case a little bit and see where we get to at the end of our 2 hours. So anyways, I'll see you guys back here between 9:30 and 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this explanation of where everything is and what happened. And then, of course, we're going to be having a different type of discussion on Nancy Guthrie's case. So come on back. We'll be here, and then I will be dipping out. Today's Delilah's Day, and we're pushing Delilah's Day because we have 2 cases, and so I'm pushing Delilah's Day back 2 hours. So that means we may not have a live this evening, just to let you know. But if we can pull a live this evening together, we will go live later this evening, probably around 8:30. We'll see how everything plays out, whether we're going to do that or not, okay? So be back here about 9:30, 9:45, and we'll start talking about Nancy Guthrie and opening up maybe the phone lines. I've been trying to open up the phone lines for a few days now, so I think I'm just going to open them up at the beginning, and as we talk, people that want to call in can call in. That's kind of how I think I'm going to do it. So we'll see you guys here in about another hour. So be there, be square. Talk to you soon. God bless you. We're going to be on this Hooker case for a little while. This is very curious. I want to know where Lynette is. I really do believe that she's dead. Okay, this is another one that I don't believe she survived. I believe her husband killed her. I think that all the information that we're getting makes sense. I feel bad for her mom, and I'm praying for her daughter. But for me, it seems like her mom, and this is what makes it so believable, her mom's been prepared for this call for years. No mother should be prepared for this call. She was prepared. That should go to tell you how abusive this family and this relationship was. It was bad. And to think that they kept this all to themselves for all these years, for 25 years with only one arrest, that should really show you the power of domestic violence. This case really should show you the power of domestic violence. So, guys, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you made it this far in the show, please consider hyping the show if you're on the replay crew. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and learning about this case. And please don't keep me a secret. Share me. When you hype that, it gives you an option to make a post. Please consider making a post for Bullhorn Betty. And I see those, folks. I'm just letting you know. I haven't been seeing a whole lot showing up in my notifications. So if you think that I don't know, I do know. I'd like to see, oh, this person hyped this hyped you. This person hyped you. I want you guys to rain hypes in my notifications today. Would you guys do me that bone? I'd really greatly appreciate that and be in your debt forever. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. We will see you soon.